took a delivery of a large number of tapes I purchased direct from Hong Kong recently. Yeah. I've got to get a new camera.
Testing. Testing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Welcome, Prophet.
Welcome, Professor. We're here again for another solving of the world's problems.
And this is going to be an interesting show. Some might think it's rather controversial, but so the topic of today's show is misery is the natural state of women.
Oh, I can hear the inbox on the computer going off with hate mail as we speak.
The internet warriors.
Yeah. Well,
feminist hate mail. We're going to get it all with this one eventually, aren't we? Hey.
Well, let's talk about this with intelligence and open-mindedness.
Well, always asking the question why.
Why?
Okay. So
okay.
Why?
What is the motive here?
What is the motive and why?
And why? Let's start off on the opposite end of the scale. Slavery is a natural state of man. Men would like to make things, build things, fix things, rescue things, and it's all based on our ego.
So man is to work as woman is to
Control
or
manipulation.
manipulation. And if it is control and manipulation,
there is only one way to effectively control, and that is through unhappiness. It's
has
an
to
ultimate,
be. There's no other way.
manipulation tool. I've often wondered about this. I've had many careers throughout my lifetime, and when I've looked at employers that were successful and moderately successful, they ran their businesses based on kindness and based on connection. They regarded the business and their employees as something similar to family members. And they were healthy environments to work in. However, they were only moderately successful. Everyone made a good living, but no one became a millionaire. Had a lot of fun times, but the cutthroat mentality was not there. And as I've gone through life and changed jobs a few times, sometimes it was my choice, other times it wasn't my choice. They went out of business or other reasons as well, got the sack. When I've gone through these different jobs over time, the ones that were extremely successful were the ones that ran their businesses like manipulating little bitches, always unhappy and had everybody trying to please them, running around on eggshells, whatever you want to call it. And I think therein lies the advantages of such behaviour, of this manipulative behaviour. If you can convince another person that they need to please you, you own them. You own them. And evolution has bred this into our DNA. Men like to fix things and make things, and women discover the art of achieving that they can get what they want or need through manipulation, and the best way to manipulate is with unhappiness. I'm bracing myself. I'm bracing myself.
It's one of those things where when I think about my own life and the experiences that I've had and the women that I've been with over the years, and the behaviour is communication. You cannot not communicate, right? And it's telling that for the most part, you hear things, you hear generalizations that there was just no making her happy. So, I did everything. We try to make her happy. I bought her this, I bought her a house, we had children, everything that she wanted. I gave her everything.
One thing to hear it, it's another thing to live it.
Yeah. Well, and see, this is the thing, that, you know, when you hear these sorts of generalizations, that they come from somewhere, right? Because they're generally probably true, right?
There's an element of truth.
There's a lot of people who are having these or are in these sorts of situations. Now, you know, if there is no making a woman happy by giving her stuff, by giving her things, resources, if it's going to be a constant state of unhappiness that she's in because she's wanting more, and there's no making a woman happy, then what's the alternative here? Well, you know, what's the alternative thing that you can do as a man to make yourself happy? And you know, happiness has got to come from within, right?
Of course.
But when it comes to women, if that's their natural state, unhappiness, then whatever man be around is going to be
It's going to be feeding the meter.
Feeding the meter, that's it. And you know, the book, The 48 Laws of Power, talks about emotional states and how it's like a virus. Anywhere, if you're in a situation where there's people who are chronically unhappy,
You'll be unhappy too.
you're going to be unhappy too.
Mm.
You're going to be unhappy too. So it's a solution not to engage in a relationship with a woman, or to engage in relations with women on a selective basis by implementing structures that are going to ensure that you don't get, I guess, trapped in the quicksand. Any kind of traditional relationship, therefore, is set up for the woman's happiness and not your own. Any kind of traditional marriage, monogamy, all the things that we think of as normal are going to leave you as a man in a state of unhappiness, feeding the meter to try to make your wife or partner happy, but never quite achieving it, no matter what you give. And
Okay,
of course, there's cases of...
We've identified the why, okay? Let's talk about how to not find yourself in such a situation.
How to avoid commitment, monogamy, and...
That's not. Well, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate solution. But I'm talking about more middle ground, day-to-day realistic things.
keep your own place?
Well, of course. I mean.
Well, hang on. When you say of course, the majority of people aren't doing that. They couple up and they go and live together.
And why is that?
I've made that decision twice, and everyone I know has made the decision to move in with their partner, and they're living in a monogamous type relationship. But you know, you ask them, you say, "Oh, you know, how's things with the wife?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's good. It's it's good, but you know, marriage is, I like it." They always look like they've got some kind of hemorrhage going on, right? You can tell in their body language that it's not good.
Did you say hemorrhage or hemorrhoid?
It's just, you know, they're lying. You can see it in their eyes. Go to any shopping centre and look at the eyes of the
You can
men.
smell the misery.
This is it.
Mm.
This is it.
Well, I suppose to answer that question, how can one avoid this situation, circumstance, scenario, whatever you want to call it? I suppose the answer, if there is an answer, is to be open and honest with yourself and open and honest with your significant other. And to be self-aware, sufficiently self-aware to know when you're being manipulated with unhappiness, and to know how you're going to deal with it before that time comes. Anyone that says to me, "Oh, I'm not really happy," my answer to them is, well, we'll have to discontinue this arrangement because you're not happy. In other words, I take away their leverage on that situation. And I've had to do this several times in the workplace, and of course with friendships and connections as well.
That's a really good one. I like that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're unhappy, you just have to discontinue it then,
Yeah.
right? They don't know how to cope with that
Yeah.
because the other person, the foundation stone of their powers of reasoning is that you will not end the relationship. So if you take away that assumption, the concept of unhappiness actually just disintegrates. There can be no leverage on unhappiness. You've got complaints. Okay, we end this. That is, to me, the best way of dealing with it. Now that is often easier said than done. I mean, you can't threaten to leave every time your steak's not cooked to your satisfaction. And obviously in situations where there are greater levers at play, whether it be homes, children, or in an employment situation, your salary, you've got to be very careful that how you bluff that one through. I suppose the answer is communication, letting the other person know that you're not going to play the unhappiness game, you're not going to play the misery game. That make them aware, self-aware of what they are actually doing. That often helps. But all else fails, I suppose you have to end the arrangement.
Some of the happiest relationships that I know about and that I've observed in my life are the relationships between a man and his prostitute. Now, think about the reasons why that's the case. They're not living together. They only come together when both of them are looking great, feeling great, ready for a great time. Right?
It's commercially driven.
Commercially driven, yes. But they're coming together and they're both looking to, the man's looking to get as much satisfaction as possible. The woman's looking to make money from the man. But ultimately, she knows, she has a self-interest, financial self-interest, to treat that man with a level of dignity and respect and kindness. Otherwise, her finances will be affected. He simply will go to someone else. Whereas in today's society, which has got a very high level of technological and societal development, women don't need men anymore. So if women are independent and have gotten all the money that they need and don't need men, what incentive does a woman have to make a man happy? Whereas the man's still got the incentive to make a woman happy because he needs, every part of his being the same. It's driven by this need for companionship with a woman and to make a woman happy, right? Regardless of money. I mean, it's the same story. You will always hear stories of men who will go out with a poor woman, if that woman be attractive, and will do a lot of things to improve her life and make her happy. But you'll never hear, or very rarely hear, of stories of rich, wealthy women who will take a man who is nothing, who has got no status, no fame, no money, no power, and who's down on his luck. But, he's a good-looking guy, right? You never hear those stories, do you? Right? These are the things that are in play.
So what are you saying to me? Men lie about their assets and women lie about their age? Is that what you're saying to me?
Well, I'm saying that, but I tell you, I was in a supermarket once in Port Melbourne. There was this woman who was on trolley duty. I looked at her and I thought, she is very beautiful. What in the heck? Why is she doing this job? So she hasn't been doing this job for long. And I went back, and every time I've been back since, never seen her again, right?
Maybe she met the dream man.
Obviously,
Maybe he was pushing his trolley and she was pushing hers, and his trolley was bigger than hers, so she jumped trolleys.
It's interesting, isn't it, eh?
Very interesting.
Misery, unhappiness, chronic dissatisfaction.
The ultimate manipulating tools.
It really can be.
And it applies equally to men as to women. A lot of men manipulate with unhappiness. They also use fear.
Now, hang on a second, let's look at this. Now, I remember reading a report that said the people having the most sex in relationships are gay men, followed by heterosexual couples, followed by lesbians. Right? So here are the gay guys driven by the testosterone, and they're having all this great sex.
You want to get between them with you.
Yeah, they're having all this great sex. The heterosexual couples, they're having less sex, but that's still driven by the man essentially. Because men are, generally speaking, more driven towards sex than women. And the least amount of sex is happening with the lesbians. Now, I wonder if there's been any studies done about levels of happiness in relationships and how happy lesbian couples are in comparison to heterosexual couples. Essentially, when you've got two women in a relationship, they're looking at each other, one woman saying, "What have you done for me lately?"
And who's going to pay?
Who's going to pay? The other woman's looking at her and saying, "Well, what have you done for me lately?" Right? And if they're both looking towards the other for their happiness, then they're both going to be sorely disappointed. So I put it to you that the least happy relationships will be between lesbian women, and the happiest relationships will be between two gay men. And I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know where or how you would even research such a thing. What I do know is that misery and unhappiness is a game that people play to achieve an end result. And it's really rigging a deck in their favour, I guess you could say. And if you are unaware that this person is playing this game, then you'll get caught up in it. And often at that stage it's too late to do something about it because you're leveraged by them. I suppose the nuts and bolts of it are you need to be able to see it up front while you can still get out. But we started off trying to be serious about this, and we've ended up with a comedy show. I don't know where we're going here.
Well, I think maybe we need to go on an excursion. Let's bring an excursion to the show. Why don't we go? We'll go to a gay club, and then we'll go to a lesbian club, and we'll just have a look around, and we'll see who looks the happiest.
Do you honestly see you and me being led into a lesbian club?
Maybe we can be cleaning the club. We'll talk our way in. We'll go to the owners and say, "Look, we'd like to offer our services as cleaners for the night." Something ridiculous just to get in there and actually see. It would be fascinating to observe the behaviour. Do you think we'll get out of there?
That's the real question. Because we are a little bit opinionated. It has been suggested we might not ever make it out.
There's that joke from The Simpsons when Homer walks into the lesbian bar. It's a classic scene, and he looks around and he goes. He's about to drink his beer, and he puts the beer down and he says, "Enjoy your death trap, women," and he walks out because he's talking about how it's a fire hazard. And one of the lesbians turns to another one and says, "What's her problem?" Maybe we would blend in, right?
I don't know. I have been accused of being a sissy a few times. Maybe I would fit in. I don't know. But
well, we're not beyond taking excursions. You've taken me on an excursion before, and
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, happy listening, everybody, and go easy on us.
All right. Have fun now.